Good morning, Bande Matram. Welcome all of you. This morning we are going to discuss on Krishna and Kali. So the topic of discussion for this morning will be really an important topic, that is on Krishna and Kali. Most of the time we get confused actually who is how one she is goddess, he is god. In many ways we get confused who is superior, who is bigger, who is better, how can we be able to worship. In many ways we get confused actually when the term the topic comes to us as a Krishna and Kali, and we'll have a meaningful comparison, meaningful conclusion from Sri Aurobindo. Maybe it is from his aphorism. Anyway, we'll quote a few lines from here and there to know what really Sri Aurobindo quotes and tries to speak of Krishna and Kali. So, anyway, it is a great topic. We know already we have seen in Savitri when we have come across I am Kali, when I kill, I wear the face of Kali when I kill. So, I am Durga, goddess of the proud and strong, and Lakshmi, queen of the fair and fortunate. I wear the face of Kali when I kill. So this is the mother's divine mother's indirect voice we have heard. So like this we have seen also in Savitri, we have seen Krishna and Radha forever entwined in bliss. So they are the avatar of we have quoted so far. This God's avatar is concerned, Krishna plays a different, a mightier role, one prominent role. Avatari we know, and also in while considering the avatar of the goddess, Kali is also standing in that format in a big way. Anyway, we'll try to quote what really these terms are here. We'll try to see Kali. How the Sri Aurobindo quoted a couple of lines. We'll see how Sri Aurobindo is describing Kali. Sri Aurobindo tells very fluently in the very beginning. Sri Aurobindo quotes, Kali is Krishna revealed as a dreadful power and a wrathful love. No difference, no distinction. Kali is Krishna revealed as a dreadful power and a wrathful love. So they are one and other, they are same. Krishna, Kali is Krishna, and how he is revealed as a dreadful power and a wrathful love. Again, we have seen while describing Kali. Beautiful is the face of the Divine Mother. So Kali is in no way, in which way really we find, we describe, we define. Sri Aurobindo has gone completely far ahead of this description, normal description. Sri Aurobindo quotes, beautiful is the face of the Divine Mother, but she too can be hard and terrible. In the already I have quoted in Savitri, I wear the face of Kali when I kill. Here is the description from Sri Aurobindo. Beautiful is the face of the Divine Mother. So Kali has been described as the Divine Mother, because while in the Mother chapter 6 we have seen the four great aspects of the Mother, who among who is Mahakali is plays an eminent role. So Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati. Here also Sri Aurobindo himself describes beautifully that beautiful is the face of the Divine Mother. So this Kali, when he has gone for the clarified description, beautiful is the face of the Divine Mother, but she too can be hard and terrible. Hard and terrible, that aspect is described as of course Kali. So again also we can find a few lines, few quotations while describing really on Krishna. Sri Aurobindo, we have to go and describe Krishna, then we'll have a beautiful comparison letter. How Sri Aurobindo, of course, compares, and how he finds the love of Kali and the of course the counterpart love of Krishna. So while describing Krishna, Sri Aurobindo, one question was put to Sri Aurobindo, who really you are, and of course verbally Sri Aurobindo quoted, I was Sri Krishna in my previous birth. So that is very prominent role you have seen, very clearly he has seen, and mother is the mother of Krishna. Krishna is helping me so many ways. Krishna, my lover and my friend. Many ways we have seen the description here. Sri Aurobindo is having couple of lines. We'll try to see, try to analyze, then we'll find the real description. Let thy steps walk in thy Lord. Let thy steps walk in thy Lord. Let thy step again. Let thy steps walk in thy Lord. Let thy steps and let thy sleeping and waking be a sacrifice to Krishna. Very prominent here. So in this quotation you can find a great devotion, a great offering towards towards Sri Krishna, because already they are in the different yugas, they have got different prominency, but the thing is that both are the same. Sambhavami juge juge. So they are with same, one and the same. So here quotes, let thy steps walk in thy Lord. Again, let thy sleep and waking be a sacrifice to Krishna. So while going one more step forward, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully while describing Krishna, So living in Krishna, that consciousness, living in Krishna, even enmity become a play of love, and the wrestling of the wrestling of the brothers. If you can, that is a consciousness. Aradhayati iti radha, akarsayati iti Krishna. So living in Krishna, in that Krishna consciousness, even enmity becomes a play of love. Enmity becomes a play of love and the wrestle of the brothers. That is what is inevitable, that has to happen. It is there, Sri Aurobindo has quoted. Anyway, we are going for the description from thoughts and aphorisms, actually how Sri Aurobindo quotes really here. We have seen Sri Aurobindo, we have seen in him that this definition we can see. Initially, very in the term, how in 367 aphorism, Sri Aurobindo quoted, but the law is for the bound and those whose eyes are sealed. Some law, we know integral yoga, there is no fixed law, nothing, no impulsion, and no compulsion, nothing is fixed, nothing is imposed. Like this we have seen. Here, the law is for the bound and those whose eyes are sealed. Those who are bound and whose eyes are sealed, for them the law is acting. But actually the opposite, those who are free and eyes are open, so they are, for them law is not a binding factor. So if they walk not by it, they will stumble, for their eyes are closed and law, for they are actually bound. For them, law is necessary. But actually, for thou, means the opposite characteristic, thou not bound free, but eyes are closed, not sealed. Actually, for them, thou who art free in Krishna, or hast been his living light. Now bound, the opposite is free in Krishna, or hast been his living light. Initially eyes were sealed, here hast seen his living light, can walk holding his hand of thy friend, or by the lamp of eternal Veda. So this is binding law. Binding law is binding for those whose eyes are closed. But opposite, thou who are, if they don't be abided by the law, then they will stumble. But for you, for thou who are free in Krishna, or hast seen his living light, then what you have to do? Walk holding his hand as the friend, and by the light of eternal Veda, you are free. There is a guidance. There is, of course, a great light which is guiding light, abiding light is there. It is helpful because thou art free, and of course, your eyes are not sealed. Your your eyes are capable of seeing your great lover, that is Krishna. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes on this Krishna and of course Kali. So while describing this one, Sri Aurobindo has gone little bit forward. In actually that great comparison we have seen. I don't know for some time. I did not know for some time whether I loved Krishna best or Kali. There is a great confusion. For a long, for a big problem time, For a big duration, Sri Aurobindo quotes, I did not know for some time whether I loved Krishna best or Kali, whom I really loved best, either Krishna or Kali. When I loved Kali, that's what he was comparing. What is the deciding factor, how he is going. When I loved Kali, it was loving myself. When I loved Kali, it was loving myself. But when I loved Krishna, I loved another. Just to think, this is the difference. For the most of the time, I did not know whom really I love best. It is to Krishna or Kali, because there is a difference here. Aurobindo quotes here and puts a differentiating line. When I loved Kali, it was loving myself. But when I loved Krishna, I loved another, and still it was myself with whom I was in love. It was myself with whom I love. Just imagine, this is the difference between loving myself, loving Kali, and loving the Krishna. When I loved Kali, it was loving myself. But when I loved Krishna, I loved another, and still it was myself with whom I was in love. Therefore, Sri Aurobindo concludes, I came to love Krishna better even than Kali. So just imagine, because it is not our voice, it is not our lines, it is not our description. This is the description as described by the master, and compares his in his own terms to his own love regarding his himself and the spirit within with his, and finally he concludes that really it is a great thing and great way. I loved Krishna better than even Kali, better even than Kali. So again, we have gone another couple of definitions from Sri Aurobindo. We have seen, when I first met Krishna, it is a very very confusing question. We don't know, because the Lord knows the Lord, because he was Lord and he is Lord. Same thing in different ages, in different names, in different forms. So our knowledge, we can touch with our human knowledge, limited knowledge. So here in the quotes, when I first met Krishna, when we can say, how not possible for us to define, because Sri Aurobindo only knows. Because in many occasions we have seen meeting of Krishna and Sri Aurobindo, because mother first quoted whom really Sri Aurobindo, he called, prayed Sri Aurobindo as Sri Krishna. In the initial phase. Then we have seen the first meeting. We have seen mother identified herself, Sri Krishna, Sri Aurobindo as Sri Krishna, and of course during the period of their imprisonment, we have seen God. Lord Sri Krishna, and he was guiding, he was coming into vision. So many ways we have seen, and we have gone that way also. And again in the trial, in the court, jail, that's in all time also we have seen Sri Krishna was guiding him. When he was actually trying to move from Chandannagar to Pondicherry, that time also the sea was very much guided by Sri Krishna. And Sri Krishna told, Sri Aurobindo told, Sri Krishna has come to the ashram and guiding the yoga in his in a better way. And again, mother's quotation, you have seen, Sri Krishna is like my child. Sri Aurobindo also told that mother is the mother of Krishna. So in many ways we see again and again there is no difference, and there is actually, you can find the presence of Krishna and the guidance of Krishna. Anyway, Sri Aurobindo quotes here, Sri Aurobindo quotes, when I first met Krishna, I loved him as a friend and a playmate. When I met Sri Krishna for the first time, I loved him as a friend and a playmate till he deceived me. Very deceived. Just imagine, deceived something with this word. When he deceived me, it is very much actually a heart-breaking word. When till he deceived me, then I was indignant and could not forgive him, because he deceived me. I could not. I was indignant and I could not forgive him. Afterwards, I loved him. After the second, while coming towards the second phase, afterwards I loved him as a lover, and he still deceived me. Now, initially, when I met him for the first time, I took him as a friend and playmate. He deceived me, and I was very much indignant and could not forgive him. Second, afterwards, when I loved him as a lover, initially it was a friend and playmate, then I met him as a lover. He still deceived me. I was again and much more indignant, but this time I had no pardon. At this time, at that time I pardoned him. I could not forgive him initially. Still, I was much more indignant, but this time I had to pardon. There was no option. I had to pardon. Initially I could not. He deceived. I could not pardon. I could not forgive. Second time he came as a lover. Initially he was my playmate and a friend, but second time he was my lover. I was much more indignant, but I had to pardon him. So you can go a little bit further and describe Krishna again. Sri Aurobindo quotes in his aphorism. It was 437. Initially, just before I was quoting, this was 434. Now itself 437 I know. When I saw others than Krishna, when I saw others than Krishna and myself in the world, when I saw others than Krishna and myself in the world, I kept secret God's doings with me. I kept secret God's doing in me. But since I began to see Him and myself everywhere, I have become shameless and, of course, garrulous. So just imagine with him and without him. That is the point of discussion. When I saw others than Krishna and myself, saw others than Krishna and myself in the world, saw others than Krishna and myself in the world, I kept a secret God's doing with me. But the second phase here in the course, but since I began to see him and myself everywhere throughout, I have become shameless and garrulous, nothing to hide. It was a great entanglement, a great mixing, and a great doing, great job was going on. So again, we can go little forward and see most of the time hiding a couple of things that is actually co-related, and we'll try to find out what the really it is there. So what really we have to do, we have to go. So it is better to quote a couple of lines on Mayavadin from Sri Aurobindo. The Mayavadin talks of my personal God. Mayavadin talk of my personal God as a dream and prefers to dream of impersonal being. So that is a great difference. Personal God, impersonal God, Mayavadin, and of course the opposite Advaitavadi, Buddhist. So many ways it has been the concept is varying from one format to another here in the course. The Mayavadin talk of my personal God as a dream, and prefers to dream of impersonal being. That is the Mayavadin's principle. And the Buddhist puts that aside to as a fiction and prefers to dream a nirvana. Mayavadin, they were much more entangled in personal and impersonal being, personal God and impersonal being. But at that time, actually, Buddhist put this aside to as a fiction and prefers dream of nirvana and the bliss of nothingness. Neti. So bliss of nothingness and nothingness and dream of nirvana, that has occupied mostly to Buddhists. Thus, all the dreamers are busy revealing each other's vision. All these dreamers, Buddhist dream of personal God as a dream and prefers to dream of impersonal being. That time actually, that is the Mayavadist principle, Mayavadist area of work, and the Buddhist put that aside and as a fiction and prefers dream of nirvana and the bliss of nothingness. And Sri Aurobindo comes to a beautiful conclusion. Thus, all the dreamers, both Mayavadins and both Buddhists, are busy revealing to each other's vision. And parading their own as the panacea. So they feel their own vision is the panacea, it is the only success, and it is the only theory. What the soul utterly rejoices in is for the thought the ultimate reality. That's what Sri Aurobindo quotes. These are the two views. So they are busy in dreaming over a lot of things, one and revealing one and concealing another. So Sri Aurobindo, thus all the dreamers are busy revealing each other's vision and parroting their own as the panacea. So Sri Aurobindo quotes here, what is the soul utterly rejoices in, that is what the thing come into the sight of the vision and see how what the soul utterly rejoices in is for the thought the ultimate reality. That is a great thing Sri Aurobindo has got. Sri Aurobindo has quoted very interesting thing. That is really, we know, a great topic has been discussed on Krishna and Kali. So Krishna is Kali. Sri Aurobindo has already quoted. So in a brief term, we just try to differentiate in our mental vision, of course outward the vision, and superficially we touch like anything which really touches us. But whatever we have discussed till now, it is Sri Aurobindo's sayings, quotations, it is aphorisms. I think it will touch you, there is no doubt of it. Bande Mataram.